Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Vijf Vragen, or Five Questions, as we would say in English. This is our podcast featuring the people of the Netherlands' diplomatic network here in the U.S. We're talking with the diplomats and policy officers about the strong bonds between the United States and the Netherlands, as well as our diplomatic work in the U.S. Or, I should probably say that's who we usually talk with, but I have a special guest with us today from the Netherlands. He's in town for the Netherlands-U.S. Defense Industry Days here at the embassy. He's agreed to take some time today to sit behind the microphone and talk with me about his work. I'm Jeff Alenak from the embassy's communications office, and my special guest is Vice Admiral Jan Willem Hartman, the new commander of the Material and IT Command for the Dutch forces. Thank you for joining me today, Admiral Hartman.
It's a pleasure, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you could take time out. I know it's been a busy couple of days. I'm sure you've gone from meeting to meeting. And I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'll go right into the questions. Admiral, you started as commander of the Material and IT Command for the Dutch Armed Forces on September 28th. That sounds like a big job. Can you tell me what it involves and how you're doing with it?
Yeah, well, what I know about after 2 weeks, it's a great job. I'm responsible for procure all material and IT equipment for the armed forces of the Netherlands. So it's Air Force, Army, Navy.
So if somebody needs a plane, you're like, we need to buy this plane. If somebody needs a pencil, we need this pencil. Is that?
Yeah.
And not to make it not to oversimplify it, but
but yeah.
How do you spend your days? What gets most of your attention in this new role?
You can imagine when you start a new job, you first look at your team. And I must say, I have a great team. And I'm really, being a Navy guy, looking at with my team as a crew. And my ambition is to build a crew that works with fun, that works hard, that performs. And those things are going hand in hand. And in the Navy, we always say a happy ship is a good ship.
A happy ship is a good ship. Yeah. Okay.
If the crew is okay, then it performs well. And if they perform well, then your command of your ship performs well. And that's for me basic building block of building my command. So that's takes a lot of my attention at this moment in my first few days. Besides, all topics. Like your listeners will know, is our budgets have increased a lot. So there's a lot of demand for, from pencils to aircraft.
From pencils to airplanes.
Absolutely. And of course, that is done by the team. So it's a lot of, meetings, first briefings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm in the US at this moment. To get to know the team over here. How will we cooperate? What are the good lines to work along? So it's... Everyone who asks me, how are you doing? I say, I feel like a small kid in a sweet store. You want to eat everything.
Like in a candy store. So
in a candy store, that's the right word. Sorry, like a kid in the candy store.
Kid in the candy store.
It's
that's
great.
What we would say in the US.
You want to eat everything you see, but it's too much at the end of the day, but it's still fun.
That would be me, as long as it was Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Those are my favorite. I understand you also have a second major task, the Netherlands National Armaments Director. So, same question. What is that? And what attracts your attention these days? How are you spending your days?
Yeah. Now, being responsible for procuring material and IT, as a National Armament Director, I'm generally speaking, seek for cooperation with other allies. And for the short term, it is look to possibilities to procure things together as soon as possible.
So sort of like buying in bulk with allies, maybe?
Yeah. For the short term, absolutely. For the longer term, you're overlooking to possibilities to work together on research and development or developing new weapon systems and then in the end procure them. I think the F-35 program is a great example of that. Start in the early phase together, research, develop, build, procure, and sustain. And that is so. At this moment, to be honest, and you can imagine that with the situation in the world, we would like to buy as much as possible to have the stuff in time. And for the longer term, it's more overlooking new programs and projects.
Yeah, I guess it's important to be ready for the unexpected, to have whatever stuff you need. Yeah. But at the same time, you also have to have a view in the long term. I can see that as well. Sounds similar to what the ambassador said in her opening yesterday about building allies, that we need allies together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the geopolitical landscape is always evolving, whether it's the invasion of the Ukraine or the recent outbreak of hostilities in Israel. How do these changes affect your work?
On different ways. First of all, simply by delivering all kind of supplies to Ukraine, besides the normal daily work for our own defense forces. I must say that my crew does that with a lot of enthusiasm and motivation. And before I became the commander, I was a deputy commander, so I've seen this for the last year. Yeah, people think they're proud that they can do this for their allies. What I also see is that due to the war, that the awareness in the Netherlands and in Europe has grown of you need to work more together. The discussion about cooperation with allies, and not only cooperating, but to standardize your projects, to look for interoperable systems. I've seen the momentum since the start of the war in Ukraine that we need to stick to. And yeah, that's a positive, quote unquote, positive thing due to the war in Ukraine. And I really hope that our politicians will keep to the increase of the budget for the long term, so we can build an armed forces again, which is able to fight if necessary.
Hopefully it'll never be necessary, but the reality that history has shown that there's always something around the corner.
Yeah.
And I can see the interoperability being important as well. You certainly don't want the U.S. military using inches and feet, and then the Europeans using metric system. You want the same measuring stick in those regards.
Yeah, and it's not only between allies. It's also multi-domain. Navy, Army, Air Force.
So within like one country,
within one country, between two countries, between allies, you see more and more that's becoming of importance. And you see that we haven't seen that in Ukraine. We were all sending weapons and ammunition, but a 155 caliber ammunition can't be used on every weapon that's using 155 millimeter ammunition.
So I see. So if one country is sending 155 and another one is sending, I don't know what it would be, but let's say 135. I'm not a military guy, so I don't know if that's even, but a different size. You would need a different gun to shoot it out of.
Now it's even worse. When you send the same weapon using 155, you need a specific ammunition for that weapon.
Right. Okay. So I'm saying it backwards, but it's the same. It's the same thing. I could see where that would be a big challenge.
On the other hand, that was one of the basic things of NATO, having standardizations. But to be honest, that needs to be bettered. And the awareness is there now, so that's a very good thing. And you see that you see different solutions within the Netherlands. We are, for instance, aiming for a new transport airplane. Okay, there's another country who's also interested. Okay, we harmonize our requirements and we buy exactly the same airplane, and we are maintaining it together. That's interoperable. That's interchangeable.
So then, if both countries then can sort of, it's cross training in a way. If for example, one country's shorthanded on mechanics, well, you can borrow a mechanic from another country and your ally. So it
operate, sustain everything, train together.
That's where the build allies, remain allies is important, especially in today's changing world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How do these developments, the changing geopolitical landscape, affect the Netherlands' cooperation with the U.S.? We here at the embassy, we always say we've been friends and partners for 400 years. So we have a long history with one another.
So what will change? We'll still stay.
We'll still
being
stay
allies. Yeah, absolutely.
But how does it affect the cooperation?
I don't think that it affects the cooperation. The Netherlands will keep on working with our big ally, the US. And being here today during the defense industry days, of course, I hear the discussions about Buy America. The bureaucracy the FMS problems. But they are there, like we in the Netherlands and in Europe have similar problems.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, everyone is making the best of it, how to get the maximum out of the system.
Friends remain friends even when something else is happening elsewhere. It sounds like
like the ambassador said yesterday. Yeah, in every marriage, now and then you have a problem, but if you love each other, the marriage will continue.
Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you again, Admiral, for joining me for this episode of Vijf Vragen. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Please tell us what you think in the comments below, and be sure to click on the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next episode or the other videos we post on our YouTube channel. I'll be back behind the microphone next month with another member of the Dutch Diplomatic Network in the United States. Until then, you can keep up with our work on any of our social media channels. Just search for NL in the USA, and you can stay up to date on how the United States and the Netherlands have a partnership that works. Thank you again, Admiral, for joining me today, and I wish you the best in the rest of the NL US Defense Industry Days and a safe flight back across the Atlantic.
Thank you, Jeff. It was a pleasure to answer your 5 vragen.
Hey, and good luck in your job. It certainly sounds like a big one. Mine, I know what I do. I know what I wake up every day, but I can't imagine having as much responsibility as you have on your shoulders. So best of luck to you, Admiral.